What if Killmonger became the next Black Panther and King of Wakanda? Does that sound like a good idea? Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. So the question is, and this actually was posed on Twitter some weeks before the movie even came out. Now, I'm not sure if the person who posed the question had already seen the movie. I know I had it, and a bunch of people who responded hadn't seen it yet. And so let me be clear. I'm going to, at the beginning of this video, talk about this without talking about what happens in the movie within Wakanda Forever Part 2. I will talk about what's happened, what we've seen from the trailers. I'm not going to talk about anything that happened in the movie that wasn't in the trailers. But after I go through the beginnings of what we've seen in the trailers, of what's happened in Black Panther 1, then I'm going to talk about the movie. So before that happens, I'll put up a spoiler alert so you will know. If you don't want spoilers, at that point in time, you can click off and check out the rest of the video at a later point in time. But I did see Wakanda Forever, and I am going to be talking about that a little bit later on. But let's talk about this, because I found that question to be interesting. Would he be a good king? Would that be a great idea? I think that would be a great idea. The responses, like not just the emotion from the number of responses, the emotion, the passion from these responses was really interesting. One of the main things people kept saying, oh, did you see Black Panther 1? Did you miss the entire movie? And I'm like, I did see Black Panther 1, of course, obviously. But let's talk about Black Panther 1. Because I remember as the movie was coming out, Black Panther 1, there was not a lot of talk about what the villain is, what his motivation is. But once people started seeing it, they would get on screen, they were talking, these critics. And I saw a lot of critics saying, oh, wow, and the villain, his motivation, wow, he was kind of right. This is what they were saying. So when I saw a bunch of mainstream critics saying they realized that the villain had a point in his motivation, I thought, oh my God, I'm absolutely going to hate his motivation. I like Michael B. Jordan, but I'm absolutely going to hate this character. I'm going to hate his motivation. That's what I thought. Then I saw the movie. I'm watching the movie. We start getting to Killmonger's motivation. And I'm like, no, he doesn't just have a point. He's right. Like, he's right. At that point, I started rooting for Killmonger. And every time I watch Black Panther, I root for Killmonger. Not just to what he wanted to do, but as, in fact, other people have pointed this out too, that he actually won. So that people saying, oh yeah, the Black Panther comes back and takes the crown back. But wait, he lost. They fought in one-on-one ritual combat, and Black Panther lost. T'Challa lost. And it wasn't fair, but it wasn't fair because Killmonger cheated. It was fair because people cheated on behalf of T'Challa. Forrest Whitaker intervenes to try to stop Killmonger from killing T'Challa. Boom, he has to get killed. And then Killmonger beats T'Challa, kicks him off the waterfall. And M'Baku, they find T'Challa's body, put T'Challa on storage, and then Nakia, Ramonda, and Shuri, they give him the heart-shaped herb, which he was not entitled to. He lost. So he may say he didn't yield. He was dying, and people intervened to save his life. It was over. And they intervened using one of the things they shouldn't have been using is the heart-shaped herb. That was it. It was over. So T'Challa cheated in order to get the throne back. Killmonger was right. Killmonger died. That very emotional scene at the end, which, wow, an amazing scene. But Killmonger's motivation that, hey, we're going to turn the world upside down. We're going to, the people that are currently being pressed, people that look like me, that look like us, we're going to liberate them, and now we're going to be in charge. And that was a hell of a motivation, and it was so well done, so well broached. Unfortunately, he lost, but people will say, oh, no, that's horrible. That's a bad thing to do. It's like, wait a minute. He had already been doing that sort of thing on behalf of the United States government. He had already been destabilizing governments and putting new people in charge that were favorable to the aims of the United States. So he was going to do the same thing now on behalf of Wakanda. That's it. That's what he was about to do. So to anybody calling him a bad guy would also mean that who else is a bad guy? Okay, but that's too advanced for many people. When I looked at the reactions to this post that said on Twitter, would this be a good idea? It was interesting because of how passionate people were about it, and thousands of responses. You had a bunch of non-Black people, presumably, who were like, no, he wanted to start a race war. And then the interesting thing was there were a lot of responses from presumably black people who seemed scared, they were also against they were also against this idea, but they seemed scared to even consider the concept. They seemed scared to even broach in their minds the idea that, this should happen. It was amazing because there were responses from people that at least claimed to be black. They had their avatars or whatever avatars, and they seemed frightened, scared to death to even think. Just think about this. They seemed scared to even think about a world where black people were in charge, even if it's fictional. Even a fictional world where black people took over scared them. That thought scared them to death. I'm like, wow. These are people that no doubt look at Nat Turner as an evil person and the Haitian Revolution as something that was unjustified and wrong. And I'm like, wow, the level of programming that has to exist for people to be scared to even think about this in a fictional world. It's a movie, but they're scared to even consider, like, wow, that's actually the point that said, I got to make a video about this because this is crazy. But then, of course, all of the people that were like, oh, he wanted to start a race war. He was evil, bad guy, mass murder. Well, he killed his girlfriend. He killed a black woman. Oh, so you're not going to support that? Well, so you're saying he's a villain because he killed his girlfriend and then he held the elder up by the throat. That's why he's a bad guy? Not the hundreds of bodies he had as indicated by the marks on his body that he committed on behalf of the U.S. government. That doesn't make him a bad guy. See, if you start to think about it, you start to realize just how brainwashed people are. It's amazing. It's absolutely astounding. There were some people that were like, this is interesting. There were some people that actually supported the idea or open to the idea, because there were some people that pointed out, well, hey, people thought that Thanos was right. Some people looked at, wait, Thanos had a point about the chaos of having too many people. I disagree because I just don't think the problem is quantity of entities or quantity of individuals in the universe. That's not the problem. Then you go to people who talked about Loki. Like, how many people did Loki murder? But now Loki's the hero. He's got his own TV show and everything. So they're like, and I'm like, because these aren't points I didn't even think about. I didn't think about Loki's redemption. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, if Loki can redeem himself, why wouldn't you say that Killmonger could redeem himself? Although, in my estimation, Killmonger needed no redemption. But the simple fact is that thinking about Loki in terms of he did so much, killed so many people, New York burned because of him, and now he has his own show, people are rooting for him. It was interesting to see that there were so many people that just were absolutely like, no way. And it started me thinking as to why Black Panther was such a success. Because Killmonger really was a villain. Not just Killmonger as a villain resonated so well with people in the society. With people in an American society, he really did represent an actual villain that they felt his motivation, and they were like, yes, beat him. So they were rooting for Black Panther, for T'Challa, with a sense of emotion that went beyond the movie, which was interesting. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that. The interesting thing is, take a look at why Killmonger wanted to do this. It wasn't just because, I want black people to be in charge. It wasn't just because he wanted power. No, he saw what these other nations had done and been doing the entire time. And that's what he says to T'Challa and them. He says, listen, all this suffering, all this pain, all this horror that these people have caused, and y'all sat here and did nothing? He was like, no, we're going to go fix this now. Because remember, Killmonger was trained by the U.S. government. He had done so much dirt on behalf of the U.S. government, and he knows it was only a matter of time before they're coming for Wakanda. It's like, no, we got to take these motherfuckers out. We got to take them out now. We've got to make sure, we've got to preemptively remove these threats to us. The only reason why they haven't come for Wakanda is because they don't realize what y'all have. They don't realize what we have, so we've got to take them out before they do. That being the case, it brings me to this question: was Killmonger right? Because now Now we're going to start talking about Wakanda Forever. We're not going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about what we've seen from the trailer. So if you haven't even seen the trailers or you don't even want to know what's in the trailers, you can leave now. But I'm just going to talk about the trailers. In the trailers, we see Namor attacking Wakanda. We see Ramonda, Angela Bassett, in front of the UN talking about, we hear what you whisper. We hear what you whisper. Their protector is gone. Now is our chance. Just based on those two things alone, what is suggested by the trailer is that now that Wakanda has revealed itself to the world and its technological capabilities, people are attacking. Other nations are coming for them. Killmonger knew this would happen. Killmonger was right. If that is how the movie actually plays out, if that's how Wakanda Forever actually plays out, then Killmonger was right based on everything we've seen. Because even we know the people that were aware of vibranium had been trying to steal it. And so now the question is, now that everybody's aware of it, what's going to happen? And now for the spoiler alert, because now I'm actually going to talk about what happens in Wakanda Forever. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want the plot spoiled for you, you can probably check back in the video now and finish watching it later on. Because now we're going to talk about what actually happens in Wakanda Forever. Are the trailers an accurate representation of what happens? Yes, they absolutely are. Because not only does Namor attack Wakanda, France. So there's a scene in the trailer where and you've seen this in the movie if you're still watching the video at this point, where the Dora Milaje are fighting soldiers, and that's France attacking a Wakandan outpost trying to steal vibranium. So this is one of the Western nations already making its move. And then Ramonda goes into the UN and she says, we hear what you whisper. And she's not just talking about France. Because remember, they've got war dogs in various countries. So they know that these other nations are still trying to come up with ways to get vibranium. And the US is searching for vibranium outside of Wakanda. Now, once the US figures out that this vibranium that they are looking for actually belongs to Talocan, they're going to make a choice. Which one of these do we have a better chance at attacking and successfully getting? Wakanda has been attacked by Thanos, by Namor, and if you see the movie, Wakanda gets their asses handed to them. Absolutely handed to them. Killmonger was in charge. Does that happen? The scene in the movie that I felt that got me the most hype of the entire movie, because it speaks about what's coming for the future, and because I'm thinking about it in terms of this question: was Killmonger right? A lot of people are saying this scene, in fact, they're saying scenes involving these characters were irrelevant. No. The scenes involving Agent Ross and the new director of the CIA, were absolutely pivotal, especially the kitchen scene. The kitchen scene where Agent Ross says, Al, what would we do if we were the only nation with vibranium? Her answer is what makes it 1,000% clear that Killmonger was right. Killmonger was 1,000% right, because she says, and she said it with passion, I dream of us being the only nation with vibranium. Killmonger knew his government. He knew what the US government was capable of. He knew what they would do. And now that she has Ross out of the way, she's up to something. In fact, at this point, it's got to be like, wait a minute, what is Thunderbolts going to be about? Because we know she's putting together the Thunderbolts team. And the question is, are the Thunderbolts going to be attacking Wakanda? Are they coming for, something she's not going to sit back and allow Wakanda to remain at the top of the food chain. She has a plan, and she's putting together something. So between Thunderbolts, New World Order, Secret Invasion, I trust and believe we can see more from Val, the director of the CIA, and what their plans are for Wakanda. And it will just become even more evident, as it is abundantly clear, that Killmonger was right. They needed to remove these threats before these threats came for them. But they chose this myopic worldview of kumbaya, and they are paying the price. Like, how many Wakandans have died since the end of Black Panther? Just think about that. How many Wakandans have died since the end of Black Panther? How many times Wakanda is hurting? Like, especially like what happens in this movie, Talocan hands Wakanda their asses. Killmonger was in charge. It doesn't go down like that. So, as always, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tell me, what are your thoughts? Do you think I'm right? Do you think Killmonger should have been in charge? Do you think Killmonger was wrong? If you think Killmonger was wrong, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I want to hear from you. I'll see you next time.